Hello, friends, and welcome to Bottled and Bond, a discussion of the James Bond movies and lore alongside spirited companions. I am Mike Scott, and I have been watching James Bond movies for nearly 30 years, but have never really taken a deep dive into the history and lore of this film franchise. So, alongside my friend Charlie, we are going to delve into each of the 25 Eon produced movies. During this episode, we will be sampling and discussing a spirit or two that would pair nicely with the movie. Today we'll be discussing the fourth movie in the franchise, 1965's Thunderball. So find your cigarette case, prepare your favorite cocktail, shaken not stirred of course, and leave your hat at the door while we ponder this question. Is this where Sean Connery peaked as James Bond? This is episode 004, Thunderball. It's Friday. It's been a long week. These rum Collins look pretty good. So we are going to start off with the rum Collins, made with Bacardi rum. I'll post the recipe online with the show notes so you can see that. But cheers.
Cheers. Looking forward to it. Tasty. Refreshing.
I thought it'd be a little sweeter. It's a
Yep,
little,
I'm actually fine that it isn't.
yeah, it's a little bitter,
Yeah,
but not
yeah.
bad.
Well, you made him fancy. When I was in college, we would have Tom Collins, and
Right,
which basically consisted of cheap Collins mix from the store
right. No, they're pretty good.
and gin. Yeah, it's good.
So we'll start off with errors and omissions. Just one quick one. We weren't too far off, but a gold bar does weigh 27 pounds. We said 20. Not bad.
Pretty heavy for something
It
that
is
small.
very heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no wonder Bond had to shot put it at Odd Job. And the biggest omission we had from Goldfinger was we didn't discuss the gun-toting grandma.
Oh my
We
gosh.
we we mentioned her briefly, but then we failed to follow up with what was the highlight of her performance.
I woke up in the middle of the night and just suddenly remembered we did not talk about it, and made me sick.
Yeah.
No, she is great just standing out there in front of that gate with
Yes.
the machine gun firing straight at him.
Pretty awesome.
Yes.
News, I could not find any news. Just like I'd mentioned last time, the I'm very excited about that 4K set coming out. So that's next month. I should be able to watch Diamonds Are Forever on that. So looking forward to that one.
I might have to watch that on 4K with you.
That would be fun. Let's go into the plot summary. After James Bond punches a woman and escapes on a jetpack, he is sent to a health retreat. He is almost killed multiple times, but eventually leaves with a clean bill of health and another female admirer. Back at HQ, Bond learns that Blofeld is holding the world ransom with two nukes for $1 million. Just kidding, it's more like $200 million. 007 goes to the Bahamas to investigate, where he meets Domino and her uncle, Emilio Largo, who is a Spectre agent. After many scenes of dignified banter and several encounters with Spectre agent Fiona Volpe, Bond and Leiter make plans to infiltrate Largo's ship and get the nukes back. An underwater battle between the good guys and Spectre ensues. The good guys win. Largo tried to escape, and Bond is almost killed until he is saved by Domino and her trusty harpoon. They escape the out of control boat, and the day is saved. So Bond does his favorite thing, relaxes on a boat, this case, it's a raft, with his lady before being violently whisked away by a rescue plane. Thunderball.
Yeah. Interestingly, nothing happens on the boat before they get whisked away.
It was very
Yeah.
quick, which is not usually Bond's forte. He's not
I know,
usually very
right? I
quick.
mean, usually he'd tell him to come back in 30 minutes or
Right.
whatever.
Let's talk about the cast and crew. So we got Sean Connery yet again. This is his fourth outing. Claudine Auger is Dominique Domino Derval. Adolfo Celli is Emilio Largo. Luciana Paluzzi is Fiona Volpe. Rick Van Nutter is Felix Leiter. Yet another actor. This is the third person to play Felix Leiter, although I guess it is possible that he just underwent facial surgery each time.
Apparently, that's possible.
Bernard Lee's back as M. This is fourth of 11 appearances. My favorite, Desmond Llewellyn, is back as Q, third of 17 appearances. Lois Maxwell as Miss Moneypenny. This is fourth of 14 appearances. And then we got Martine Beswick, who is Paula Kaplan, Bond's assistant. This is actually her second appearance. She was one of the gypsy fighters in From Russia with Love. Yeah.
Oh. Oh, that she did look familiar.
Yeah. We'll talk a little more about her later as we get to see her in the movie.
She wore about the same amount of clothing in that one as
Yeah,
she does
she
in this
did.
one.
But no slap and tickle with Bond in this one.
No, no. Right. She can't afford a full shirt to wear.
Right. So this one was directed by Terrence Young, who did the first two but didn't do Goldfinger. This is the third of his three. Our favorite production designer, Ken Adam, this is the third of seven for him. Theme song on this one's Thunderball. It's performed by Tom Jones, written by John Barry and Don Black. It's originally performed by Shirley Bassey, but they didn't like that version.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then there was another song that was actually done called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and it was performed by Dionne Warwick, but producers insisted on a song that actually is called Thunderball, even though nobody knows what Thunderball actually is. So this movie came out December 9th, 1965 in Tokyo. That was the premiere. So I think this is where they start to
Interesting.
they start to do like
Spread it around the
premieres.
world.
Yep.
Yeah.
December 22nd, 1965 in the US. So that's four Bond movies in 3 years in the US. December 29th, 1965 in the UK. This one cost 9 million to make. So they tripled their budget and I think it paid off for him. It made 141 million worldwide. Adjusted for inflation, that's 1.249 billion. To date, adjusted for inflation, it is still the second highest grossing Bond movie of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I guess they needed the budget for all that underwater and
Right.
boats and planes and the Navy and so forth.
Right. So let's go into host history. Again, I don't have any particular history. I will say before my first rewatch of this one 2 weeks ago, I didn't think as highly of it. I felt like this is not going to be one of my favorites, but stay tuned. How about you?
Don't specifically remember watching it. It was so long ago, but I do, when I watched it, I remembered many of the scenes, especially, I mean, the underwater stuff's unforgettable,
Right.
right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on down there. And as a kid, of course, the little things that you hold on to that make you go fast underwater are pretty sweet.
Yes. Let's go into the scene by scene breakdown. So we start off with another cool, cold open that this is now the trend, has nothing to do with the rest of the movie for the most part. And we see that we're at a funeral for JB. So did Bond die again? No, it's somebody else. We see a widow standing there and played by a lady named Rose Alba. Um, Stay tuned. We'll talk a little more about that in a second. So they go to the funeral and then the woman leaves and she's going back to I don't know if it's like her estate or what, but Bond is sitting in the chair there and goes up to her and just clocks her. And we know from reading about
That is
Sean
pretty good.
Connery that that's
He might
par for the
actually do that.
that's par for the course.
Exactly.
But that's no woman. That's a man. And we learn that it's actually the guy that was supposed to be in the casket, the JB, which is number 6 on Inspector.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But obviously the original person that was a woman and they wanted her to look feminine, so they didn't dress up that guy the whole time.
I gotcha.
Yeah. And I mean even Austin Powers makes fun of that cuz they do the same thing in one of those where he punches Basil's mom and it's clearly a woman at first and then it's a man. Or no, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Basil's mom was a woman and he thought it was a man.
Yeah.
But there's another scene where there's somebody that's clearly a woman and then he punches her and then it turns into a dude. So the guy playing the JB guy was Bob Simmons. This guy has done like all the stunt stuff for Bond. Like
Oh, okay.
he's in the car later that's driven by Lippy that gets blown up, but he was the original down the gun barrel Bond shooting. The first, I want to say 2, maybe 3. That was not Sean Connery. That was Bob Simmons.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of these episodes, I'll add him to the crew and give him credit for how many he ends up doing. He really fought well in those heels too.
Yeah, not too shabby. Throwing chairs
Yeah.
and
So since this is a 2 hour and 10 minute movie, we know Bond's not going to die in the first 5 minutes. So he does dispatch with the former Spectre guy and escapes out the outside, where he makes sure to put on his helmet before hopping into the coolest gadget of the movie, which is the rocket pack,
the
the
yeah,
jetpack.
yeah, that was pretty sweet. I don't know why we don't all have those
Yeah.
yet.
Well, I read that A, at least then, those jetpacks, that would last about 20 seconds.
Yeah,
So they made sure it was a quick, jump.
yeah.
Um, but the stuntman refused to they didn't want Bond to wear a helmet. They didn't want Sean Connery to put on a helmet for the scene, and the stuntman refused. So they had Sean Connery put on a helmet so that they could film the scene with the stuntman.
Smart move.
Yeah. We get to see the Aston Martin DB5 again, very briefly.
I do like it.
Yeah, it's got that bullet shield. Another I don't remember, was there water pressure in the last one? That was just oil in the last one, right? In
Right.
Goldfinger? Yeah, so we get
They
to see.
didn't talk about water, but I want you to note that that car did not ever move, right? I mean,
Right.
he gets in, he puts up the bullet shield, and then he sprays the water. Can you imagine how much pumping pressure you would need to spray that much water and how much water you would have to carry
Yeah.
in your car
But I mean,
to have that much water?
it is James Bond. He already has a lot of pumping pressure, so.
Yeah.
Alright, so we get our nice opening gambit. Bond drives away with the French agent. Then we get our credits with the Tom Jones theme song. Pretty
Eh,
obvious nudity. The credits
yeah.
are fine, but we get a little nudity, and my wife looks at me and she's like, "Is she naked?" And my daughter's, like, in the kitchen, so we don't really care about it, but yeah, they were all naked, but it's artsy. It's art, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yes. They didn't even have to have that pretense back then, but now I think you have to have that.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we move to Paris, where Largo is parking his car where he's not supposed to park it, and because he's Largo, he's fine. They just apologize to him.
Just gives that look.
Yeah. That is not Robert Wagner, surprisingly, despite the eye patch and
No,
everything. That is
exactly.
not. So he goes into this place. It looks like it's like financial assistance for immigrants or something. I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
read that sign very well, but in the back is the Spectre headquarters. So, they're not all bad, I guess, if they help out poor people and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's probably the henchman recruiting office,
Oh, probably.
right?
Yeah.
"Oh, you wanna stay in the country and get some
Yeah.
financial assistance?
Right. Well, we'll give you a loan, but to pay us back, you have to work for Spectre for 2 years. You got to be on a
Here's
2-year
your
contract.
harpoon."
Yeah. So we get an appearance again by Mr. Bigglesworth. We don't, he's being held by Blofeld, who once again is not seen and is once again played by the guy that played Professor Dent in Doctor No.
Okay,
This is the last time I think we don't see Blofeld.
okay.
Notice I've said Blofeld both times. I
Yeah,
have not messed up yet.
very good work.
I think I'm gonna
I
get.
do love that boardroom. The boardroom is
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
spectacular. It's 10 times the size you would need it to be.
Right.
And
Very like metallic and
yes, yes.
sheer. But that whole scene was actually pretty similar to the book. Like, going through some of the things that each of the henchmen were doing,
Right.
the numbered people. One of the differences, though, so the guy that got killed for stealing money, in the
What? You get killed if you steal from a criminal organization?
right, but he in the book, he actually was executed because they had kidnapped some wealthy person's daughter, and he took advantage of her, and they even say that it's like, it doesn't matter if it was consensual or not. We promised her back whole, and we didn't give her back whole. And Blofeld, being the generous guy he is, gave the parents half the ransom money back in the book.
Wow.
It's like, what a gentleman.
What it was totally worth it now having our daughter kidnapped.
Right.
We got half the ransom
Oh, we
money
saved
back.
so much money. She's only psychologically damaged for the rest
For
of
the
her
rest of
life.
her life? Sure. Yeah.
So they just kind of start talking about the plan. We don't get too much detail yet, but from there we move to the Shrublands Clinic.
Well, wait, hang on. We have to
Okay.
talk about the guy gets killed. He gets
Oh, yes.
electrocuted in that chair
You're right.
and then sucked into the floor
Yes.
because you can't just have the dead guy there in the meeting. You have to make sure there's a mechanism for him to go away and
Right.
then the chair to come back.
I wonder who they contract for their furniture, because
Right.
if he does that a lot, they're getting a
Right.
lot of new chairs.
Well, I would think so. There's gonna be some burn marks on
Yeah,
that
because I
chair.
mean, that place is too nice and clean. They're not gonna leave a nasty,
No,
char-filled chair that may have some flesh on it, so
definitely not. But see, this is where the henchmen can work down under there. Someone had to take him off the chair, and
yep,
it could have been one of those immigrants.
right, it could have been. They never really actually help them, they just pretend to, and then they take them to the back room, and then they're become their slaves or something,
Exactly.
probably. Okay, so now we go to the Shrublands Clinic, where we get to see Bond again. So this is another in the book, he's sent there because for whatever reason, M feels like he needs a cleanse, and M is, like, on some sort of weird health kick. So he sends him there because get this, they say that he drinks and smokes too much, James
No.
Bond. Isn't that crazy?
In the movie, they just don't even bother with why he's
No,
there,
they
do
yeah,
they?
he's just there. Like,
Yeah.
he's just getting some R&R or
To
something.
hit on women
Right,
masseuses.
right. But yeah, he drank and smoked too much. And then he never did again in any movie or book after
Right.
that. We see Count Lippy for the first time as Bond is getting his massage, and I read she's technically a physical therapist. It's a different term, but she's a physical therapist
Okay.
that's like helping him out.
Yeah, I mean, he's at a spa, I get
Yeah,
it. Who is
and
Count Lippy?
Count Lippy is the guy. I mean, he's a Spectre agent. He's there to help with the whole plot that
Right,
Spectre has.
right, okay. And then he sees Bond and figures, "I better do something about
Yeah.
this."
Well, and then Bond sees his tattoo
Oh, that's
and
right,
has them
that's right,
look up what the tattoo is.
that's right.
I did notice that Connery's hair looked weird in this one. I don't know if they
Yeah,
changed hairpiece
I
provider,
know,
but
right?
it did look a little odd
Yeah,
in this. But we won't judge him for that. Bond then wants to check out Lippy's room. There's a bandaged man that sees him and kind of wonders what's going on. Then we go back to Bond with Patricia Fearing, who's played by Molly Peters. Physiotherapist was the term.
okay.
And this is Bond girl number 1. She's in enough of it that I would call her a Bond girl. Plus you get the slap and tickle, so, I mean,
Yeah, she's not a willing Bond girl necessarily, but yes.
not at first. That's a very cringy scene. Fearing, she kind of swats him aside after his little clumsy first
Right,
attempt. Yeah.
she's not really willing, she's yeah,
One thing to point out, all the actors and actresses that work with Connery, they said he was a super nice guy and super awesome and very friendly to her. I remember there was
that's good.
something I'd read about Molly Peters that she was, like, having a rough day from some, like, personal stuff, and he, like, took time to, you know, in no unprofessional way to just, like, soothe her and make her feel better and stuff, so I know we see these things that Connery said, and obviously Bond has some misogynistic things to him, but,
Right.
it's nice to read things like that too, that people get along. So now we have Fearing putting Bond on the stretching machine, and I tried to explain to my daughter what this was, and I really it just stretches you and, like,
Yeah,
maybe fixes your back a little bit, I
maybe,
guess.
maybe.
But we don't see him, but we, obviously can assume that it's Count Lippy that turns up the machine to the point that it's looks like it's gonna kill Bond.
So about that,
Yes.
he turns the machine up, but he doesn't break the machine, he turns it to a setting which is on the machine.
Right.
So, why do they have a setting on the machine that can kill somebody? I know, I have lots of problems with these things.
Why do cars go 160 miles an hour?
I know, right? But I did think it was funny, he just turns it up to maximum, but I mean, they made the machine and they made a
Yeah,
maximum. You'd think the maximum would be safe.
right.
It let me say this, in the scene, it doesn't look as traumatic.
I'm sure there's just some joker that wanted to make it 11 instead of 10. It would've been
Ex
fine at 10, but somebody wanted to go to 11.
exactly.
He
Anyway,
passes.
yes, they clearly just speed up that film, and it
Right,
is interesting to watch him on there, right? That was
right,
the special effect that they used with
right.
just speeding up the film.
So Bond kinda passes out, and Fearing comes back in, wake and stops the machine, wakes him up. She feels terrible about what happened, thinks it's her fault and stuff, and Bond kinda blackmails her into not telling her boss about it,
Even
and
though he clearly knows it wasn't her
right,
fault. That's what makes it that
right.
much worse, is that in modern times, this would be in a harassment
Yes, yes,
education video.
exactly.
You may not do this.
But ultimately, she acquiesces and is pretty willing at
Well,
that point.
they all end up loving him, right? He's so suave.
Right.
Yeah.
And we get our slap and tickle number 1 with her behind the foggy glass in the shower, which they did clear the entire set for that scene because, I mean, she did take her clothes off in that shower, so
Really? She
they
wouldn't have had to because all you see is her
right,
back in the steam.
right.
Alright.
So Bond leaves that room and he says this stupid line, "See you later, irrigator," because he's coming out of an irrigation room,
Yes.
which I think they only did that because he says that in the book too, or somebody says it in the book. So I think that was just a nod to the book. He then finds Count Lippy getting what, like a little portable sauna, I guess, or something.
Yeah, like a steam
Yeah,
thing. I know. You see those in, like, old movies. I don't
yeah,
know what they really are good for, but heating you up, I think.
yeah. So he cranks that one up to 11, and Lippy gets roasted. And he says to Lippy, "Now don't you worry, I'll tell the chef." Not quite quip level for me, but still pretty funny. Then we go back to Bond with Patricia Fearing again, this time giving her a massage with a mink glove. So now we move to
There's our
some
first animal that was harmed in the making of
the
this
mink
movie, I
glove.
think.
Yeah. We moved to somewhere else in England with Francois Derval and Fiona Volpe. So Francois Derval is the NATO pilot, and Fiona Volpe is played by Italian actress Luciana Paluzzi. I would like to call her at this point Agent Double D7.
Yes,
She was wearing quite the revealing outfit in that scene.
she was.
The character was originally going to be Irish, but since the actress is Italian, they changed the character to an Italian character.
Okay.
And the last name, Volpe, is Italian for fox.
I like that.
Yeah.
And she has kind of the red hair too, right?
Yes. Random little tidbit. She did a movie before this called No Time to Die, which is Bond number 25. That is the title of Bond 25, No
Yeah,
Time to Die, which you've never seen. So that'll be interesting when we
that
get
will
to there.
be.
So we have them in there, just kind of playing around, and then somebody comes to the door, and it's the same guy with excellent special effects. There's no way you could tell that one of those guys was a green screen and the other was not because it was the same actor playing both roles. The guy at the door, he shoots the guy Derval
The
in the
real
room.
him.
Yeah, the pilot, the real
Yeah.
pilot. None of that happens in the book. That guy is he's just a Spectre agent from the beginning. So that's an interesting little twist they
Oh,
made
they
for
don't
this
even
one.
explain
Yeah.
how he
They
gets
wanna
in
make it
there.
more elaborate, and they wanna
Yeah.
make the movie 20 minutes longer. Now it's the guy that, shot Derval is named Palazzi, and they're getting all packed up, ready to go, and, of course, he asks for more money. So, at that point, you know that he's gonna die because he's
Oh,
not
yeah.
happy with what I mean, they
Not to
may have
mention
killed
they
him
agree to
anyway.
give him the money because
Right,
they know they never have to give him the money.
right. So, he was probably gonna die anyway, but who
I would
knows?
think so.
Stupid move,
Yeah.
stupid move on his part. So while, they're all doing all this, Lippy and Volpe then bandage up Durval, who I guess he wasn't dead at that point. I guess they just gassed him. I don't remember how he died exactly, how they killed him. Or maybe it was
I
toxic
think he
gas.
was
You
dead,
think
but
he was
I
dead?
don't know.
Okay.
You never see him living again.
Right. So now Palazzi goes to the base, the NATO base, introduced to the crew, and then takes the flight on a Vulcan bomber. Nice plane. We go back to Bond again. He was gonna, he's still giving Varian that nice mink massage.
Well, he's at the spa.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
He doesn't know he's on a mission yet.
Right.
He's just at the spa.
But then he sees paramedics arrive and decides to postpone any more slap and tickle to go investigate. So he's trying to find out what happened to that bandage man and everything. Um, and then there's a fight in that room where a guy comes in through the window, or he's not all the way through the window, but he's right there at the window, and Bond like yanks him in, and that guy, that stunt man, actually did. He like hurt his eye pretty badly in that
Ooh.
scene. Like it ripped his eye when the glass broke
Yeah.
because he didn't hit it right at the right point. And it was another story about Connery where he was like, oh, he was very concerned about him, and after he got all patched up, he had a double brandy waiting for him, and whenever they met after that, Bond would always ask him how his eye was doing, like in a joking way.
Connery.
I'm sorry, yeah, Connery, yeah,
Same thing.
basically, right. So Bond then pulls the alarm after all this mayhem and trying to get everybody out. We go back to the plane for a bit, where we see that Palazzi has now gassed the rest of the crew and he hijacks the plane.
It's convenient that there's a little slot to put to gas
Right.
everybody sitting right next to him.
I did read something that said that hijackings like hadn't really happened to that point. Like
Yeah,
nobody that it
yeah.
that was, they said there was like maybe one instance where something like that happened, like in the
I think
30s.
it became bigger in the '70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right.
So then we have just a throwaway scene with the military discussing the missing bomber. And we go back to Palazzi again, coming in for the water landing at at Largo's. And this yacht, very cool yacht, it's called the Disco Volante. I like the name.
Yeah, I do too.
So we see the plane landing. That was obviously a model plane. I think it was like 13 feet long. So it was a good size model plane, but there's spots where you can clearly tell it's fake. But apparently where they did the landing, the waters were infested with sharks and barracuda. So it was a bit dangerous, but I thought it looked pretty good.
It looked pretty good. You know what? The special effects were not bad for that. I liked the, uh, plane landing on the water,
Right,
and then the landing gear coming down and the plane sinking, fortunately, exactly straight down to the bottom.
right. I do want to briefly mention the water production crew. The There was a different director for all the underwater stuff. His name was Rico Browning, and he worked on a show called Sea Hunt.
Oh, really?
But he also worked on Flipper, which I did watch back in the day.
Wow. So he
So,
was obviously an
he knew his
accomplished,
water stuff, yeah.
yeah, diver
And
probably.
his name, like, because it's spelled kinda weird, so I didn't know maybe what his nationality was, but he sounded like a Southern gentleman. It was pretty funny.
Okay.
So Palazzi lands, and then, of course, whether or not it was because he asked for more money, Largo is there to kill him. It's very easy to kill
Well, you
people in
notice
water.
well, his seatbelt wouldn't come open.
Right,
Like, it almost was just good luck for Largo. I
right.
assume Largo was gonna kill him anyway, but then he barely even had to because the seatbelt wouldn't open.
So now we get the first appearance of my favorite device in this. It's an underwater submarine, but we are going to refer to it as the Oscar Mayer submariner because it definitely had the same color and
Yeah,
some of the
it
same
did.
shape of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
It did. It's a great vehicle, though, like,
It is.
specifically outfitted to hold those 2
Right.
bombs.
Yeah. Wonder who they had to contract to get that specific thing built.
I
And
don't
what
know.
did they tell them?
I know, right?
But there were actual working guns on it. I thought that was interesting. Like those guns that come out of the front, those were real guns. So,
Really?
yeah, that was pretty cool. So they get the missiles, they put them onto the submariner, and we see sharks everywhere. The sharks came from a Miami seaquarium. Never really heard that specific term, but that's what they called it, was a seaquarium. Then they take the bombs and load them onto the Disco Volante. From there, we get a quick scene with them just reporting into Blofeld about what's going on. From there, we go back to the shrublands where Bond is leaving. Apparently, he's nice and refreshed now and won't be drinking or smoking anymore. We see the bandaged man's body being carried out, and Bond kind of, you can tell he's kind of curious as to what's going on there. But from there, we get our first car chase of the movie. So Bond was driving the Aston Martin.
And just an unknown black car is coming up behind him?
Yes, I've read something about that black car. Of course, I'll put it in the omissions next week. So he's being chased by, it's actually Lippy chasing him. And then behind Lippy, we have this person on a motorcycle that we assume is working with Lippy, but turns out that person is firing missiles at Lippy's car and
I
blowing up
know.
Lippy's car. And then of course it veers off to the side, hits the ground, stops, and then massively explodes.
Yes.
Yeah. But that whole thing, the Bob Simmons guy is telling you about, he was the one that was driving the black car
Oh, okay.
for that. He was in it when they blew it up and everything. It was pretty crazy. So we see this scene, and then we find out that it's Double D7 that takes out Lippy with those missiles, and then she ditches the bike in the water. That was a really nice bike too. I don't know what
It
brand it
was.
was, but it was
I
cool
know.
looking.
And we don't really understand why she did it
Well,
at the time.
earlier, they Blofeld had said that Lippy screwed things up because he let Bond get the best of him while they were at the shrubland. So yeah, they do kind of explain it
Okay.
that Lippy's just a lost cause at this point. So Bond's at HQ now. He tries to throw his hat, but the rack is just too close to the door, I guess, and he doesn't get to. There's a big meeting of all the Double O agents. This was a really interesting thing. You can't really see it, but the person sitting in the seat for 003 is a woman.
Oh, okay.
So you could say that even back then there were 00 agents that were women. So I thought that was kind of cool. Blofeld reveals his ransom that, he's got these two missiles and they're going to destroy these big targets if they don't pay up.
I
Uh,
like how he had to, they had a tape of it.
right. Right. And then they talk about how Big Ben will have to ring an extra time in order for them to signal that they have received and understand the message. Bond talks with them about originally Bond was going to be sent to Canada, and Bond has this picture of Domino with that dead pilot and says he wants to follow that lead and recommends he go to Nassau.
Well, you forgot in the big conference room where they have to look at the map for 10 seconds.
The gigantic map.
A gigantic map, which you open by pulling like a large velvet rope that's hanging all the way from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And the guy has to hold it and pull on that rope and hold it the whole time while the cover is going up on the map.
Right. Nice.
Just what you need
Very elaborate.
for the guy to say, "Here's a circle. We think they only could have gotten this far in the plane."
It's gotta be a lot of work to replace that map too. I mean, that
Right?
thing's what, 40 feet tall?
And it
It
didn't
seemed
have
like
the
it.
whole world on it, so every
Yeah.
time they have an event,
Right.
they would have to, send in a new guy to put that map up.
We're gonna have another segment to go with your henchman segment about this really makes no sense.
Unnecessarily
Yeah.
complicated.
Props.
Yeah,
Bond sees that picture of Domino in his little dossier and that trick because he sees the pilot too, and he saw that pilot at Shrublands.
yeah.
And so it gives him the idea to go to Nassau. A little brief bit with Moneypenny, and Moneypenny gets in trouble for talking about M, calls him the old man, and M didn't like that very much. So now we go to the Bahamas. We start off underwater in the Bahamas, and this is where we meet our second Bond girl, who I've mentioned, Domino. She's swimming around on a turtle.
Another animal potentially harmed in the making of this movie, just hanging on to it and letting the turtle pull
Yeah.
her along, I guess?
Well, I did read this one. So that turtle was for sale at the marketplace for its meat. It was going to be
You're kidding
no, it
me.
was going to be turtle. It was going to be food. It was going to be like turtle soup or something.
That was a big
It was a
turtle.
big turtle. But the nice thing is that after they shot all these scenes with that turtle, they did actually free the turtle.
Wow.
Yeah. So he
Still
he
couldn't do
lived
it
another day.
today.
No. So Domino's foot gets stuck. Bond rescues her.
Did you notice they didn't have air packs in those scenes? They were underwater a long
Oh yeah,
time for that scene.
yeah.
Obviously, in real life, they probably had to go down multiple times to film that, but they were down there a while. And if my foot got stuck like that, I'd take my foot out of the flipper and swim to the
Yeah.
top so I lived.
Yeah. I don't think Bond minds when they go down multiple times, though. So Bond rescues her and takes her back to her boat, and then he goes back to his boat where
They also took a starfish up
they did
and,
take a
put it
starfish,
out, another animal harmed in the making of this movie.
right? We see on the other boat Paula Kaplan, and that's the woman played by Martine Beswick, who, like I said, was in From Russia with Love. So she's got a bit of a bigger role in this one.
So one comment that Bond makes that really made me wonder was, he tells Domino she swims like a man.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what that means. He says most women just splash around. But
A
I
product of the 60s,
yeah, I know, right? I wondered, do women swim differently than men? They must have.
I guess.
It was just a fascinating line.
Right. Little tidbit about Martine Beswick. She'd been living in London. She's actually from Jamaica. but she had been living in London and she was pretty pasty, so they made her go, like, before she shot any of her scenes, and she just had to sit and bake in the sun for
Wow.
2 weeks to tan to look darker.
Wow.
Yeah. Bond makes up some silly like, they pull the plug on the boat to make it look like they're stranded, and Bond asks Domino
Right.
to take him to the beach. They arrive at the beach, and I had to say this part because they just kinda go up right up to the beach. "Hey, you can't park that boat here," and then Bond
No,
will
there's a
just
guy just who catches
I
the boat and
guess.
takes it.
"Oh, it's okay, we're abandoning it."
Yes.
It's a Stripes reference, kids. So they're
And
walking up.
then there's a man in a suit
Yeah,
inconspicuously
right.
standing on the
Just
beach.
standing there watching them walk by. Then we go to nighttime in Nassau, and we're at the casino. This was all the interior stuff was filmed at Pinewood Studios, so it was all in England. When they go into the lobby, there's a guy there that's, like, really, like, elaborately blowing smoke from his cigar. That's the producer, Kevin McClory, which you'll notice he's not the producer who we name in all these other ones, and I'll get to that a little later because that's the whole I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about it. So, Thunderball started out as a movie script. It did not start out as a book. The original thing that it was this Kevin McClory, there was a screenwriter guy, and Ian Fleming worked together to write an actual movie script because they were thinking that Thunderball was going to be the first movie. Fleming then actually wrote the Thunderball book, and he didn't give any credit to this McClory guy who actually
Oh,
did a lot of work on it. So McClory sued Ian Fleming over this,
I think you would.
and he won. And so he retained the rights to Thunderball. And that's going to lead to something much later when we get the movie Never Say Never Again,
Oh,
which is a Thunderball remake.
oh, okay.
So that's why that one was a little different, but he did agree to do this official Eon movie as long as he got to be a producer. So that's why he's in that scene, because he's a producer, so he can do what he wants.
Okay.
So now we have Largo and Domino sitting at the table. I mean, we really need to learn to play Baccarat. It's back again on here. So apparently it's just a game of pure luck. It's not there's no skill almost at all involved in Baccarat. It's just what cards you get when they get drawn.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they're playing Baccarat. I'm surprised that Largo didn't just use that X-ray thing in his eye patch to win.
I know, right?
Another Austin Powers reference there. Bond offers to buy Domino a drink, and then there's that guy in the suit watching as they're having their drink. Bond asks for Dom Perignon 55.
Do you think in spy school, A, you have to learn to gamble?
Mm-hmm.
Do they give you the money to gamble with from the government, or does he have his own money? And then do they teach you about champagne in spy school so you know what to order?
I mean, I think that part's just him and him being cultured.
Must be.
Yeah, but the gambling, the money, I think most of the time it depends on the mission. I don't think that like he can just I need $10,000 tonight. Okay.
Right.
But for a mission, maybe. But yeah, he orders the Dom Perignon. And for our millions of listeners out there, if there's any of you that really love this show and want to give us something, we would take reluctantly, but we would take a bottle of Dom Perignon from you and enjoy it on an episode.
55 if you
Yeah.
want.
55
Just
if
so
you
we
want.
know exactly what the 55 is
Chilled,
like.
and we'll chill it to 38 degrees.
Oh, obviously.
No,
He never drinks it.
he doesn't. Of course not. Waste. What a
I don't
waste.
think he eats the caviar either.
Yeah.
We might have to have the beluga caviar
Yeah,
too at some
maybe.
point.
So then they dance a little bit, and just a quick note about the actress Claudine Auger. She was dubbed because she had a pretty strong French accent. I don't think anybody else was dubbed in this movie, though. I mean, obviously they recorded their vocals in a
Right,
studio
they dubbed
later.
themselves
Yeah, but there was
for
nobody dubbed by
sound, but
somebody else other
okay.
than her. So we're back at the hotel, and a little kind of an error. This scene actually got switched with the prior scene because Bond's walking back into the hotel like he just got out of the water.
Yeah.
And it actually was supposed to take place before the scene at the casino, but they wanted to establish Largo and Domino being together. You can see the part where they're by the pool and Largo and Domino are leaving. Bond is actually talking to Felix Leiter, even though they haven't officially met
Yeah,
yet in
that's right.
England. So just a little continuity thing. Not that bad, though. So anyway, Bond's back at his hotel. We get the front desk lady ogling Bond again. This is becoming a trend too. Bond gets to his room, thinks there's something going on in there. So he There's some sort of like he has the recording device that
in
he
a
plays
book.
back, yeah,
Yeah,
and you can hear
hidden
that
in a book.
somebody's walking around in the room. Somebody comes to the door, starts to say 007, gets gut punched, so that was funny. Bond then goes into the bathroom again and turns on water that's instantly like it must be 200 degrees out of the tap, which is pretty impressive because the guy freaks out and jumps out.
Just so you know, in my mother's house, they have a system that circulates the hot water through the pipes at all times so that when you turn on the faucet, it is always instantly hot.
Well, there you go.
So there is such a thing.
So that's how the other half lives. So it
Yes.
probably did have that.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't, but just so you know, it is possible.
Yeah. So, like I said, this was, if we find out this is Felix Leiter, we wouldn't know that. The person going to see this movie would have no idea that was Felix Leiter
I know,
because it's the third different guy to play Felix Leiter.
right?
So this guy Quist that was in there, they don't kill him or anything. They just take his bullets, and he gets to go back to Largo's mansion, which is called Palmyra. Palmyra, I think Palmyra is the actual
I think so.
pronunciation. To report back.
And and Bond start talking, and Bond pours himself vodka and Campari.
Oh, wow. Do we need to stop and do that already?
I think we better.
All right. Okay, Charlie, why don't you introduce this drink since you brought this one over?
Okay, so when they go in the hotel, he pours vodka and Campari, if I'm saying that correctly, and I've never had it before. So we got some. We mixed it up just like he did.
Here we
We're gonna
go.
see what it's like.
I don't know what to call that
I
flavor.
don't know what to call it either.
Piney? A little bit?
Maybe. I know.
Almost kind of like gin?
Maybe.
It's got a bit of a gin vibe when those two get mixed together. That's interesting.
And you can mix gin with it, so that would
Right.
be interesting as well.
Yeah. That's it's not my favorite, but it's
It's
not bad.
interesting.
Yeah, it's something different.
Better than the Uzo.
Yes. And probably better than the Goldschlager.
I liked both of those for the record.
So after Bond and Felix take out Quist and Bond has his Campari, Quist returns to Palmyra, the resort, or I'm sorry, the estate Largo's living at. In the book, he didn't own it; he was borrowing it from somebody. So I don't. They don't really say it
No, they don't get
in the
into it.
movie. And we get to go to the pool where we see sharks swimming around. I don't understand why the sharks didn't have freaking laser beams on their head,
I
but
don't know why.
I guess not everything came from a Bond movie.
There have been sharks and lasers, though, so far.
It's true. I read that it was hard to keep those sharks alive in that pool. I don't know if it was the depth or what,
Oh,
because
really?
they put seawater in there. So anyway, Largo's pissed about.
So more animals harmed in the making of
Yes,
this movie.
yes. So Largo's pissed about Quist getting his butt kicked by Bond, and he backhands him, and then they throw him in the water, and
I
he gets
gotta
killed.
put them in the water and
Yeah,
see someone get eaten by
right.
sharks.
Very cool shot though. I did like that how it turns red. You're under the water and you're
Well,
like,
I'll be honest, when you see him fall in the water and you see the shark, I don't understand how they filmed it without an actual man falling into a pool with actual sharks, which I can't imagine they actually did, but it surely looks like he actually falls in there with the sharks.
I do believe that the sharks were in there. I think that they were docile sharks,
Yeah,
like from like
maybe.
an aquarium or something. I don't know. I feel like I read that in the book I read though.
You know what? There's no shark docile enough for me to fall into a pool
Right.
with it, Mike.
So then we go to Bond, Leiter, Kaplan, and Pinder. This is our local kind of guy, maybe kind of like a Quarrel kind of character.
Right.
He's a
Yeah.
local that's helping out. And then they visit Pinder's shop. I thought this was really cool. They did 2 versions of that set of Pinder's shop. They did one in Nassau and then did one in Pinewood, and you can't tell the difference between them. Like, throughout those scenes,
Oh,
they're
wow.
in both
Yeah,
places.
I'd almost have to go back and look to see if you could
Yeah.
see anything out of place.
So they have a radio on, and they talk about the Big Ben at 6 o'clock,
Chiming
chiming 7
7
times.
chimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, my favorite character comes in, Q. to give Bond all his gadgets.
He's very surly in this one. It's
He is.
really good.
He's like, "Yeah, I'm completely done with all your crap, Bond." And still
Yes.
Bond is egging him on, like, he's like a child with the
Flipping
jetpack.
the
Yeah.
switches on that jetpack, turning the light on.
He's like, "Will you just let me do my job?" So, we get a lot of gadgets here. None of them are crazy, so I think when we get to the rankings, I don't know that I'm gonna actually include any of these. We'll see.
They turn out to be useful, but they're not
Of course.
especially difficult to imagine they could exist.
Yeah. Just like I
I
said, what's
suppose
the
an
point?
underwater infrared camera, in theory, at the time, would have been difficult.
Right.
But in this day and age, an underwater infrared camera, you could probably order one on Amazon for a few bucks.
Probably. All the gadgets are we got the underwater jetpack, we got the watch that has the Geiger counter, got the underwater camera.
That's an important tidbit for later.
Oh, yeah. We got the compact flare, which I think I missed the first time around that he got that also, so that was cool. We have the miniature breathing device, which that one is not a real thing. They don't have a such thing that's got like two little gas chambers that you can breathe a little extra. It was just made with two CO2 bottles glued together.
Nice.
Looked cool though. Then we got the tracking pill, which we get a nice little line with this where Bond says, "What am I supposed to do with this?" Q is so close to saying, "Shove it up your ass." You know that's what he wants to say.
Yes.
Well, obviously, you swallow it.
Now?
We now go to a scene with Bond and Leiter out to sea. That's clearly filmed on a set, but they're searching around because they're trying to find that plane. They don't know what's happened to it
Right.
exactly yet.
And they're in a helicopter.
Then we go to HQ listening to Blofeld's next tape. Now, a little interesting tidbit I read: there was a man that was like sitting next to Moneypenny, and apparently he's from the American Air Force, and he was like pivotal in helping them to procure all of that equipment they got for the movie, like military equipment and stuff. So they put him in the movie as a thank you. I thought
That's
that was pretty
nice
cool.
of them.
Yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So brief scene back at Pinder's. Bond's getting ready to investigate the Disco Volante. We then go to the Disco Volante. Bond is underwater trying to figure out where those bombs are, taking some pictures. He gets a
Sees the
harpoon.
doors.
Sees the doors, gets a harpoon shot at him. Funniest thing I saw in this scene is like Largo's watching all this, and
Right.
it's like somehow that camera is fixed right on where they're at, right when they're
Yes, I
doing it.
know. When they flip it on, immediately they're right in frame.
Yes. So they fight a bit. Bond then, does the thing he does about 20 more times in this movie and cuts the guy's oxygen. So he has
Takes
to.
his mask off, cuts the oxygen.
Bond takes some photos. Then he gets away, dodges some hand grenades, ditches his tank, and hides underwater for a bit. And they can't find him, of course.
It's interesting the authorities right there in the harbor in Nassau don't really go to investigate hand grenades being thrown into the water. But,
Bond gets to the beach, picked up by my favorite agent, Double D7, in a very nice Ford Mustang. That thing
yeah,
looked gorgeous.
yeah,
I think Mustangs had maybe been around for a year at this point or something.
right. We saw one in a
Saw it
couple
in
movies ago. Yeah,
Goldfinger. Yeah,
yeah.
Goldfinger. That was the first time one had been seen in Europe. Ford provided most of the cars for this movie. I believe there is a Lincoln Continental at some point.
I forgot to mention the Lincoln Continental limousine in the very cold open scene of the funeral.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
That's right. I got a book I'm reading. I forgot to take any notes on it, but it goes through like basically um every car that's in it. And then you'd mention, I don't know if you mentioned this on an episode or not, but there's a database like IMDb but for cars that
I
shows
am
you every
CDB.
IMCDB.
Whoever those guys are, I love them, and I love their website now that I've seen it.
I'll try to remember to put a link for that in the show notes for our 17 billion listeners. So this scene when Bond and Volpe are driving back to the hotel, I just thought this was a funny little aside because I've heard Terrence Young was a really fun director to like be around. He didn't like, he wanted to make a good movie, but he also didn't want to take things too
It
seriously.
wasn't overly
Yeah.
difficult and everything, yeah.
So there's this. They're watching like Connery and some of the other cast and crew. They're watching the dailies for that scene, and instead of the obvious green screen of them going through the forest or whatever to get
Right.
back to the hotel, he'd put just like a backdrop of water, of the ocean, and it's just the car driving on the ocean, and, they all thought that was pretty funny. So they arrive at the hotel. We got a really good line here at the hotel because she was driving. I mean, I'm sure you could probably take all those turns at 100 miles an hour without an issue. I'm
Oh,
sure.
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But she says, because he was uncomfortable with it, and Volpe says, "Some men just don't like to be driven," and Bond has a great response, "No, some men just don't like to be taken for a ride," which is odd because
That
I
was good.
thought Bond really does
I
like
think he
taking
does.
taken for a ride.
I know, right?
So we got a lot of little scenes at this point, and this is kind of what contributes to like the length of the movie. A lot of little back and forth. Very brief scene with Pinder developing the photos with Kaplan, and then we have Leiter and Bond in a helicopter searching again. All these scenes with Bond and Leiter in the helicopter. If you look, you'll see that there's some scenes where Bond's hair part is the opposite way, and that's because they wanted them to be looking like they were flying in the other direction, so they just reversed the
Reverse the
film.
film.
Yes.
Nice.
And then there's one of them where it's, like, Lighter changed outfits between the time that Bond got off the plane to go down and investigate and come back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but
They coulda just got him a different hairpiece
right.
with a part on the other side.
Or they coulda just fixed it in post with CGI. Why didn't they do that?
Right, exactly.
So now we have a brief scene with Largo and Volpe shooting skeet at Palmyra. Have you ever shot skeet? Seems like something you would do.
I've done it one time. It was
Okay.
fun.
Yeah. I kinda wanna do that. And
Yeah,
I would most certainly try to shoot from the hip even though I would fail completely.
I know, right? I have a shotgun.
Nice.
All we need is a large field,
Mhm.
and something to throw those discs with.
Right. Once again, we're back to Bond and Lighter on the helicopter, and that's where you can really see, like, the swaps of the frame reversal and everything. Eventually, we get Bond actually going to Palmyra. He has a very nice encounter with Largo, as is usual in a Bond movie now. I mean, they're very genial to each other. Um, he offers to let Bond shoot, and that's where Bond, shoots the skeet right out of the sky from the hip. I mean, super awesome. Largo's very excited to talk about his sharks and his Disco Volante ship, but not a whole lot happening in these scenes. Just a lot of kind of back and forth dialogue. We then go back to the hotel where Kaplan and Volpe run into each other, not by accident. Volpe clearly is there to drug Kaplan and kidnap her, and that's what they do.
Yeah, that was sad.
So later on, Bond and Domino are at it's the Bahamian Mardi Gras. It's called Junkanoo. So that was like that big festival with all the people dancing in the streets and stuff.
They must have made them march down that street like 27 times.
They did. I read that they went like a 3 block radius and they just kept going back around and around and around.
I know, because that parade lasted a long time.
Yeah.
It's more or less the same people
Right.
going by
Right.
every time.
So then just a brief spot where Leiter tells Bond that Paul is missing.
Can they make Lighter look any more goofy standing there on the ground, yelling up to James,
He was
James, James, come down here?
like an 8-year-old or something.
I know. It just goes to show how seriously the English were taking how goofy they were going to make the American CIA
Right.
agent look, wearing like goofy Hawaiian
Yeah.
shirts and sunglasses, and then down there yelling like as a CIA agent,
Mhm.
he's just going to stand on street level and
And I
yell
mean,
up James.
typical American constantly getting plastic surgery to change what he
Right,
looks
to look
like.
different. Yeah.
So then Bond goes to Pinder's to talk about infiltrating Palmyra. Bond gets to Palmyra, cuts the power, and so we didn't really talk about him, but there's this like nuclear scientist named Kutzi. I think he's German, and he's kind of like helping them with these bombs, and they're starting to show that he's getting pretty uncomfortable with everything that's going on, and that'll come into play later. Bond finds Paula, who is dead, and originally, I first time I watched, it, I kind of forgot about this, and then I watched it again tonight, and realized she killed herself. She took cyanide because she didn't
Yeah.
want to talk. So
Yeah. They
what a agent!
briefly say something
Yeah.
about it in the movie.
And something I read about all this, once again, we saw this with Karen Bay, we saw this with Quarrel. It's like a sidekick death, and that kind of spurs Bond to go like next level with stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't pay to be like his
No,
sidekick.
it's like a red coat in Star Trek.
Yeah.
We get Bond versus henchmen, just fighting all kinds of random ones. One of them, he trips and the dude face plants from like 6 feet up, and that looked very
Yes.
painful and
It
very real. Then Bond gets in. They fall into the shark tank. Him and one of the henchmen. Um, they seal up. The Largo seals it
That's
up with.
quite a pool cover
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
because they're in, like, the swimming pool part of the pool, right?
Right.
Where Domino had been swimming the day before.
Yeah. And you can clearly see, kind of like the spider in Doctor No, you can see that point where Connery is behind glass as the shark's going
Yeah.
through.
Well,
Uh, he's the
I'd be
talent.
behind glass.
He's the talent. The hairpiece was really getting a workout on that one, I thought. Bond gets away, gets back to the hotel, and who's there in the bath in his hotel room but Double D7 Volpe. This part was funny because she said, "Since you are here, would you mind giving me something to put on?" And of course, he hands her the pair of
The
shoes.
shoes.
Awesome. Now, what was funny is that was thought up on the spot because it was written that he was just gonna give her a robe,
Oh, really?
and the director was like, "Give her the shoes." So, that was pretty cool.
That was pretty funny.
So we get Slap and Tickle number 2, this time with the villain. It did a lot of shooting days on this scene for whatever reason. I mean, I'm sure Connery and the
Can we shoot
actors,
that
yeah,
again?
I'm sure they had a lot of complaints about it. But apparently one day they invited the press for that scene, so they wanted the
Wow.
press to see that one for promotional purposes. I thought that was kinda funny. Couple henchmen come in, Bond is escorted out to the streets during the never-ending Junkanoo.
Right. It's really been going on.
Before he leaves, though, like he talks with Volpe about what he did last night and that he only did it for king and country, which
Right.
is so full of crap.
Yeah.
But whatever. So now they're out in the streets. They get in the car, and this I can't help but crack up to this one because the guy comes up with the bottle of booze to offer it to him,
In the
and
car.
yeah, and Bond knocks it out and pours it, and then he lights the seat, and it just like pops and explodes.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? Was there some sort of fabric that would cause it to do that?
Oh, everything was flammable back in the old days, Mike. You don't know these things, but, children's pajamas, everything would just burst into flames. That's
Wow.
how things were. There was no safety.
But it was weird because it was like an explosion.
I know.
Regardless, Bond gets
Looks
out.
better on film,
Yeah. Bond gets out, he runs off, he gets shot. So this is the first time we see Bond actually bleed.
right?
They're all weaving through this Junkanoo. And I don't know if you noticed this, but I had to point it out to my family tonight watching it. There's a dog in the middle of the road, leg up, just taking a pee. Right in the middle of the road. That definitely was not planned. It just happened.
Dogs. They're the best.
Yeah.
But, they'll just pee when they feel like it.
Right. So Bond ends up at the Kiss Kiss Club, which that whole thing was built specifically for the movie, but
Oh, really?
the
Looks
locals
like a
loved it.
fun
It
place.
did. The locals loved it and they wanted it to remain. He starts dancing with some random woman who gets very mad at him when his quote unquote wife
Yeah.
shows up to barge in. And there's just a little back and forth with them dancing, and then eventually Double D7 is killed by one of the henchmen, who is just a terrible shot. And it was that was an interesting shot how Bond he had
Kinda
like,
maneuvers her around
yeah, and then he
pretty
had his hand
accurately
over,
field,
and then he opens the hand and you see the
and the
blood.
blood comes out.
And I'm just gonna say it, this is my favorite quip because it's so stupid, but I laugh and cackle every time. He takes her dead body, puts it in a chair, and the people sitting at the table, he says, "Mind if my friend sits this one out? She's just dead." And I just die every time on that one. So from here, we're back at HQ. They're just discussing the ransom. M's pissed, and that other guy. I don't know who that other guy was exactly. He must have been some secretary or something.
Cabinet
Some
minister or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
I
the
don't
cabinet
know.
minister who
Whatever.
they think they're going to have to pay this ransom, and
Right.
M clearly doesn't want that to happen.
In
And
diamonds or something,
yeah,
right?
because diamonds are forever.
Right.
So then we go back to Bond and Lighter once again up in the air, but this time it's so Bond can actually dive down into the water and investigate where he thinks that the downed Vulcan might be.
And he found it.
Yep. And there were real sharks there. It was cool how they like trained them. Like they would like
Oh, they actually trained
yeah,
the
there were
shark?
some of the sharks were trained. They
Oh,
would
wild.
the guys that worked with them, they would hold them by their fins and like just swim forward and then kind of push them and then they would just, swim across the screen so they could get the shot.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
A job I cannot imagine
No,
having.
definitely not. Some of the sharks did escape, which I mean, why not? It's in the ocean. Who
You're in
cares?
the right,
Yeah,
exactly. Don't let the sharks swim away. We're in the ocean,
yeah.
man. Those sharks passed up a very lucrative rest of their career in show business, though, by swimming away and
Right.
escaping.
Yeah. Just pissed it all away. So now we get Bond and Domino again meeting underwater for whatever reason. We get our third slap and tickle of the movie, and it's underwater. And you don't really think about it at first, but it definitely happened. And I read it, and they said yes, it definitely happened when they go behind that reef or whatever, and all the bubbles start coming up.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty funny.
Hopefully, the actual actors, they didn't make them do
Right.
anything since you can't see anything.
Right. So the Domino and Bond go back to the beach. Domino steps on some sort of poisonous, what was it was
I don't
urchin?
I
I
don't
think
yeah,
urchin
it might
maybe?
have been.
That was directly from the book. That whole scene with him sucking the poison out and everything. Now, if you notice during those scenes where they're laying on the beach and going back and forth, some of those you can clearly see like a green screen. For whatever reason, they had to shoot some of those scenes at Pinewood. It wasn't a lot, but it was still kind of weird to see that on a couple of them.
Yeah.
I read an interesting thing about when he's talking to her about her brother dying, who was the pilot. He puts on his sunglasses to avoid showing emotions towards her, and I guess that's something that they did intentionally to keep a theme going of him, you know, keeping it keeping things like that serious and not getting too emotional about it,
Interesting.
which changes in later movies with other actors. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And Vargas comes up, tries to take out Bond, and Bond just shoots him with a harpoon. And that's where we get quip number two, which is still pretty good. I think he got the point.
That was good.
So now this section, we got a lot of like,
By the way,
yeah.
I forgot to mention, when they're underwater, with the underwater slap and tickle before that, don't they shoot a shark with a harpoon?
Is that them that does
It
that?
looks
It happened. It looked
very
very real.
real.
Yeah,
So
I
did
don't
they
know.
really shoot a shark for this movie?
I don't know.
Because it's
That's
gonna happen again later. Spoiler
right.
alert. It was probably okay to do back then.
Probably. I mean, they're just
Sharks are
sharks. Yeah.
evil. I mean, yeah.
So just a lot of back and forth little scenes. Bond goes and he's checking out the henchmen, seeing what they're doing. Domino's back to the
Henchmen in a truck,
yeah.
just a bunch of henchmen packed in a truck.
Right. Domino's back on the Disco Volante. And then we have Largo with the henchmen, and this is where they're going to get the bombs
Yes.
to take them back to the
They all
Disco
have their
Volante.
scuba gear.
So Bond takes out one of them and puts on a wetsuit and joins them. We get Leiter and Pinder in a scene where Pinder's monitoring
It
Bond
does help to be able to kill people silently, like he
underwater.
does
Oh,
no,
just
where he
no, just yeah,
chops the
right,
guy makes no noise, and then he puts on that guy's
right.
wetsuit.
So we got Leiter and Pinder monitoring Bond at Pinder's shop. Bond sneaks on to the Disco Volante, which is headed for Miami. And then we're there the next day, and we're back with my favorite ship, the Oscar Mayer Submariner. They go to take it to this cave where the nukes are hidden. I thought it was pretty funny. They had to like manufacture these doors on that
Okay.
cave,
Yeah.
and they kept getting destroyed by the powerful tides that were coming in. So they had to
Right,
keep
it's not really
rebuilding.
that easy,
Yeah.
is it?
So they load the bombs onto the submariner. Bond is discovered and gets into a brief fight, and then they trap him in the cage.
So they don't discover him the entire time on the Disco Volante, right?
Right.
He's on there traveling with
Yeah.
them to go get them. They don't notice him, but in a scuba mask,
I
spot him.
I mean, I guess it's just he's got a really strong one eye because it was Largo that
I
saw
it
him.
was, right, and then he starts motioning people to go chase
So now
this.
Bond is trapped in a cave.
and doesn't look for the switch to open the doors again,
Right.
which is what I would have done.
Right. We see Domino back on the boat using the camera. Bond does eventually escape the cave. Then we go back again to the Disco Volante where Largo's torturing Domino with a cigar and ice. Okay.
Scientifically applied, Mike.
Scientifically applied.
Scientifically applied.
I mean, I just torture my family with the smell of my cigar smoke. And then we go back to that scientist, the Kutze, who he's clearly now very uncomfortable with everything that's going on.
Yeah, well,
He's
he hears the torture about to
yes,
happen, and he's not too good with it.
yes,
He's
it's
okay. He's okay with arming nuclear weapons
right,
to kill millions of people,
right.
but he's uncomfortable and he finds his conscience when his employer is about to torture one woman.
Leiter eventually rescues Bond. Um, somehow manages to pinpoint him. It was pretty nicely done.
Well, he uses the aforementioned flare.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He
They're
does use
going
the
out to
flare.
find him, and he's using that tracking device,
Mhm.
which just says, like, "Go left or right,"
Yeah,
and then suddenly Bond hears the helicopter and shoots the little tiny flare that he has with him.
I can't believe I forgot Chekhov's flare. Unbelievable. This is why you're here.
Yeah, I know. I knew there was some reason.
Yeah. So now we get the longest scene of the movie that starts with all the good guys jumping in parachutes down into the water. You have a lot of thoughts on this whole underwater battle
I do
scene.
have a lot of thoughts. Well, first of all, the Disco Volante, which later we find out has lots of giant guns and machine guns and things, chooses not to put up any defense against all these guys parachuting into the water from the military plane.
Right.
And then the military diver guys decide to get in a tight packed formation so that they can swim directly into the aim of all of the submariner mobile
I'm glad you
and
said it right on the first try.
all of the guys with harpoons at them. Don't like go around to the side and attack them from the back or the sides or anything. Everyone get tight packed so they can shoot right at us and take out
Right.
half of the good guys at the very beginning. Not my tactic that I would have taken.
So these weren't like huge professional actor people or stunt people either. These were all members of like local dive clubs yeah, they did
Just
that whole
people who knew
parachute
how to
scene.
scuba dive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Bond drops in. We get some yellow smoke on his jetpack, and I mean, if it's yellow, let it mellow. That was a terrible
Right.
line, but I said it anyway. I'm
It
sorry.
is, I know, but there was seemingly no reason for the yellow trail coming out behind his underwater jetpack, but at least we get to see it used after he had been kind of playing with it in Q's office.
Yeah. If you have any feedback for my terrible jokes, you will have an email address at the end that you can send that to.
I encourage
Now
you to do so.
somebody's gonna
Please
flame me.
do.
Yeah. I've read that or Sean Connery, they put him on like some sort of wire to like pull him through, so it looked like he was moving
That makes sense.
more quickly.
You know, it's it's hard to move underwater.
Yeah, it
There's
is.
a lot of resistance in
Yeah.
water, just like we're gonna see in these boat scenes coming up. It's hard to make boats look fast because
Right.
they aren't fast
Right.
because it's hard to move through water. So even fast boats, I mean,
Well, I
other
mean,
than like
according to Largo, the Disco Volante got 20 knots, so it could go
yes,
20 knots, which I have no idea what
how
that
many
means.
miles per hour is that?
20? I have no idea.
It's not much more than 20, I
I was
don't
gonna
think.
say they're
Like I don't
almost
think
1 to
it's very
1, right?
fast.
Yeah.
I don't, they're not 1 to 1, but it's not
Yeah.
like it's 80 miles an hour or anything.
Right.
It's hard to move in water.
Here's what you know. Wait till we get to the end of the movie. It's clearly going 80 miles an
I
hour.
know. It's really good.
So there is a ton of back and forth underwater. And I think that's the biggest complaint I've read about this movie that people have. It's like this scene is way too long. But you got to look at it from the fact that this had never been done on this scale
Yeah.
and they wanted to have fun with it.
I'm guessing that it took so much to coordinate this underwater fight
Yeah,
that they wanted to really play it up.
right.
But it does seem to go on for a
Yeah.
very long time.
Just a couple of tidbits from this whole fight. So there was a guy where he got shot and like his chest it exploded. Like there was something that caused it to explode. And that actor, that stuntman, he had a magnesium pack and the
Oh,
magnesium
wild.
exploded in there. and it, like, exploded all around his body, and he had, like, severe burns from the
Right, that
magnesium.
doesn't sound safe.
No. On
If
his
you
back too, it,
Because
like,
if you
went all the way
just
around.
expose magnesium to water,
Yeah,
like, it burns, right? I
right.
mean, yeah, that's
Fortunately, he recovered, and he did end up doing more
"This'll
scenes.
be cool. Let's try this."
That was it, that was exactly it. This is what a $9,000,000 gets you.
I know, right?
Then we have one of the henchmen takes a shot to the eye, so he's gonna have to go visit, Largo's eye patch guy to get a nice eye patch for that, if he's alive.
That is good. I did read, though, if you watch that scene, after he takes a shot to the eye and they cut back to him, the mask is not broken, apparently.
Oh, nice.
But also, someone shoots a shark in one of these
Yes.
scenes because sharks start showing up,
Yes.
and somebody, harpoons a shark, and it looks very real like someone actually harpooned a shark.
I have a tidbit on that.
Oh, good.
So the shark that gets shot,
We don't even plan this.
about 10 years later, he gets his revenge on humans when he goes to this place called Amity Island
Ooh.
with Red Grant from Russia with Love
Yeah.
as the boat captain. That was a Jaws reference, kids. Watch it. It's a great movie.
Oh, man, you should watch that. Even my son, who's 15, who admits nothing that we like is any good, liked Jaws.
I'd say he's gonna hear that and be embarrassed, but we know he will never listen to that.
Oh my gosh, no. But he would be furious if he heard that I mentioned his mere existence.
All this fighting back and forth, and then Largo runs away.
As all good villains do, abandon all of your guys underwater
Right.
and run away.
Yeah. And gets onto the Disco Volante,
But
and
does he have one bomb on the Disco Volante still or something? I think he does because
I believe
the
so, yeah.
submariner only has one bomb on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we get a cool little scene where the ship splits in 2. I heard you talking about it when we were watching a little bit of this
He
earlier.
detaches the cocoon.
Yes, but that was a fully functioning boat. Both of them were fully functioning with engines and everything, and they actually built that to do that, and it was, I mean, there's where some of your $9,000,000 budget went, was to
It
build
was
that.
pretty
It
wild.
was
Yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
read that they bought that hydrofoil thing,
Mhm.
right, which is the front part,
Yes.
and then built
They
that part to go on the
built it
back of it.
together, yeah.
It was pretty wild, but he leaves so many of the guys
Right.
on on that back thing, and they all kinda run to the front of it like, "Wait
Yeah.
for us."
This is the price you pay for wanting financial assistance for being an immigrant, apparently.
That's exactly right. They put you on a boat,
Yeah.
and instead of giving yourself up, you decide to try to fight the entire Navy with a few guns.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out.
So now we see Kutze, the German scientist, untie Domino. He's finally fed up with it, and he tells her that he, like, disabled the bomb. I don't think that that could possibly have been any, exposition for something that later was gonna happen, right?
No, no, that won't come to be important at all.
So now Bond gets into the cabin and fights all kinds of different guys. He fights with Largo, and then there's just these other random henchmen coming up all the time. And then I had to mention this: you get the henchman that brings up the champagne. It's like, are they celebrating their escape?
I guess we're running away. Celebrate.
Fortunately, he was killed too because he did not chill that to 38 degrees.
Exactly. He's just carrying that tray. Hey guys, what's going on up here? You ready for some champagne?
We did it! We got away! All three of us with those 40 guys that are in the other
I
one.
know, exactly. But at least we still have a nuclear bomb.
The worst green screen work of the movie is the whole thing with the ship that, like I said, it's clearly going 80 knots or
Well,
what.
so Bond, in order to defeat some of the guys, just pushes the throttle all the way forward to make some guys fall over. And from that point on, the boat's out of control.
Yeah.
And the green screen out the windows is fantastic.
I swear it's like 10 seconds of green screen that they just keep reusing over and over
Think
and
so,
over.
of almost hitting
Yeah.
the rocks and turning the wheel. I think green screen of a boat going faster than that boat could have possibly ever gone.
Right.
And close-up shots of rocks that look like they're, like, 5 feet away,
Yeah.
even though out the window of a boat, even if they were 5 feet away, would look farther than that.
Right.
It's pretty funny.
A little bit more fighting. Somebody throws a chair. I mean, who throws a chair, honestly?
Not just a chair, the captain's chair.
Captain's chair. And so Bond, dispatches with most of the guys, but Largo's still around. Largo's got Bond where he wants him. He's gonna kill him, and
Yeah,
then
he pulls out a gun.
yep, he pulls out a gun.
Bond's down on the ground,
Yep, this is it.
looking
This
like
is
he
the end.
doesn't know what to do, and
The
he's
James
about to
Bond
die.
franchise is over.
It's gonna be
Bond
all
dies
done,
here, and then Largo gets shot in the back by a harpoon from Domino.
which is really good.
It is. It's really cool. I really like Domino and that the whole thing of her, and then she like rises up after that, and
She
the
walks up
music is
those
playing.
steps. Yeah, I know. I
Oh,
mean,
that was
she
very
deserves to
cool.
kill him, right? If anyone's gonna kill that
Yeah,
guy, she should kill
yeah.
him.
Nice. There was a
'Cause
little
he killed her
quip,
brother.
right?
He was gonna torture her,
Hmm.
and generally, he's evil.
And I mean, I guess you probably wouldn't like him for the fact that he was going to try to nuke places.
It's kinda bad as well.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of bad qualities. He's more or less, I think, been taking advantage of her this
Yes.
whole time,
Yes.
as we would imagine. I mean, pretty bad guy.
Yes. Now Bond, Domino, and the scientist are all going to escape the ship, and I mean, they don't care
Well,
about him.
they're about to hit the rocks,
Yeah, they're about to hit the rocks that are
and they can't pick up a man to turn this whole time, no one thought to pull the throttle back
right.
and stop the boat.
He's just too heavy.
Yeah,
So they just unceremoniously shove the scientist off the boat. I think they did give him a life
they
preserver,
gave
yeah.
him right, the yes.
But then Bond and Domino get off and they don't get off this time. There's not enough time for that, I don't think. But
No,
here's what I wanted to talk about with the Disco Volante. So obviously it runs into the rocks and it explodes all to hell.
as it must.
They put rocket fuel in that for that scene.
Wow.
And I don't know if I can believe this, but who knows? But I don't know if it was the director or like a production designer or what. They said that that ship blew up and they were filming the scene and they were like setting up for a next scene. And like 6 minutes later, the ship came back down. They said that that's how powerful that explosion was that it shot it up in the air for 6 minutes, which may have
So
been an exaggeration, but still, the
yeah,
fact that
yeah,
it
yeah.
did go that high, I mean, if you got rocket fuel, I guess it would.
Alright, some physics calculations will have
Yeah.
to be done for next episode to see how high it would have to go to come down after 6
I mean,
minutes, but
I'm sure we have many physicists listening right now.
you're right. So it would go up at a particular rate, and it would come down at maybe roughly the same
Yeah.
rate? I don't know.
So
I'm not a
physicists that
physicist.
are listening,
Yeah,
email
calculate
it.
that
We'll
for
give you
me.
an
Like, how
email.
high
Yeah.
would it have to go to start and then come back 6 minutes
Right.
later?
So everything's done now. And the only thing left to do is what we've done in 2 Bond movies already and now in a third. We finish with the Bond girl on a boat, or in this case, a life
And the scientist apparently just abandoned at sea.
Yeah.
We
Did he survive? We don't know.
we don't really know. He might be eaten by
Maybe
sharks.
that
He
shark that got
definitely
shot ate him.
they definitely don't even look for him to see if he's around and maybe he could get in the raft.
So I am going to count this one as ending with Bond on a boat, but technically it does not end with Bond on a boat because a rescue plane comes by and snags like a tether and pulls Bond and Domino away at an alarmingly fast speed that probably would have hurt them.
But it is pretty awesome.
It is pretty
And I
awesome.
did read that that was an actual rescue technique.
Okay.
That was a real plane, that was a
Yeah.
real rescue technique. Today, they have lots better ways because now they have helicopters and they can just pull people up in helicopters or various other things. But it was pretty awesome way to end the movie
Yeah.
with them flying through the air on that tether
Yes.
from the plane.
With that clearly not a green screen behind them.
No, but if I were her, I might be a bit nervous. Like, he
He
doesn't
didn't tie
tell
her
her
arm
what's
in.
happening.
Yeah.
He clips himself in and puts his arm around her, not saying anything, and when they're in the air, wouldn't you be like, "So you're just holding on to me, and if you, like, were to let go or anything, because the force of a plane picking you up out of that raft, and then you trying to hold on to another human being,
Right.
seems like that'd
I
be
don't
tough."
know that anybody actually got pulled up. That looked like it was probably a dummy, but if it
Well, it
wasn't,
could have been a real
it
person, but
could
I
have.
doubt it was 2 people.
Yeah.
But
But it looked
physicists
violent.
physicists, what are the forces that would be involved from an airplane, relatively low airplane speeds,
Yeah.
and pulling on that? Maybe it's like a bungee rope or something.
Yeah. That's it. That ends Thunderball.
It was a wild ride.
Yeah.
I mean, the
I
last
mean,
part of the movie, there's a lot of action.
I can see why it's still number 2 because at that time, going to see something like that, it's pretty cool. We'll get to the ratings here in a minute.
It was. It's got all your elements of a Bond movie in it
Yes.
for sure.
Couple of trivia things. So real quick, Thunderball, the name actually came from something that Ian Fleming heard was the name of an atomic bomb test site in the Pacific, an American atomic bomb test site. So,
Well, I heard or read on the internet, so it has to be true, that that was the name that military people would say of like the mushroom cloud, like
okay.
Thunderball
Okay.
or the bomb going off, which sounds
Both of
possible.
these things
And
could be
since
true then.
right, and
Yeah.
since they're talking about stealing nuclear bombs, I could envision that. But they never explain it in the movie for sure.
Yeah. So we talked about the guy that was the co-writer of the screenplay that sued and everything. Just a couple of little tidbits with him. Um, they were gonna make a non-Eon Thunderball much earlier, and there were one actor I've never heard of, but there were two other actors that they were considering for Bond. One was a guy by the name of Peter O'Toole, which sounds like a great if it was reversed, if there was a Bond, if there was a female Bond and a Bond guy or a Bond boy,
Right, Bond guy.
Bond guy,
Plenty
Peter
O'Toole.
O'Toole,
Peter
yeah,
O'Toole would be that.
yeah. And then the other one was Richard Burton, who I mean I've seen him
I've
in a
heard of
couple
those
things.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They're actors.
this was the first Bond film shot in Panavision, so you get more of like that. I think it's that more wide shot look.
Okay.
So
So it's more
the
like the
dimensions are a
aspect
little,
ratio.
yeah.
Yeah.
Producers wanted Raquel Welch for Domino, but there was another film that they begged to have her for that film. I don't even know what that other movie was, but they couldn't get Raquel Welch, who I believe is still with us today, maybe? I don't know. If
She
not,
might be.
she's been she it hasn't been long. Okay. Final thoughts
I
and rating. I'm gonna let you go first this time.
okay, I was gonna say, I did like Domino. I thought she was a good
Mhm.
character. She is obviously there against her will. Bond doesn't take advantage of her in any way. She's clearly a victim, and he rescues her, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Yeah.
I thought this movie was pretty good. Do we have a record of how I've rated the rest of them out of 5 stars?
You have given Dr. No a 4 and then Goldfinger and From Russia with Love a 5. You're the same as me right now.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay.
It's good. Like I said, the underwater scenes get a little bit lengthy, but I do understand why they did it, and probably if I saw it at the time or the first time when I saw it as a kid, I probably would not have gotten tired of that, right? Part of it is it's hard to separate seeing it like the 10th time versus seeing it the first time, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Going into this one, my memory of it was like, yeah, this one was okay. But all of the elements, and I think you got a really good female villain. And I think I mean
Yeah,
the male villain's really good. Largo's a really good villain.
he is. I mean, the eye patch is iconic.
Yes.
He definitely seems very evil,
Right.
as a villain should be.
Putting the underwater stuff in the context of the time, I think it's really impressive.
I think so too.
I think that yes, it probably could have been 20 minutes shorter and still been really good, but I'm gonna give it 5 stars.
Are
I'm
you?
gonna
Wow,
continue to, yeah, I think that this may be the last Sean Connery 5 star, but
maybe.
I actually liked it way better than I remembered. So,
It is good. I mean, those little vehicles underwater,
mhm,
very cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in
yeah,
it. And the cheesy effects are just cheesy by today's standards,
right.
right? At the time, they were just normal things.
So we now differ on those. So you
Mhm.
went 4, I went 5. I'm gonna before I get to the other ranking stuff, I do want to talk just briefly about the book a little more, not too much. This was the first book that got rid of Russia as the enemy and made Spectre
Oh, okay,
the
so
thing.
this was the real
This was
first Spectre
Spectre.
book.
Yes, it was Spectre from the beginning on this one, and we get introduced to Blofeld and everything in this
In the book,
in the book. Yeah.
do they really try to get 100 million pounds?
I can't remember
Because
the
it's interesting how
money.
inflation has gone from $1 million to
Yeah.
build the thing underwater to
Right.
getting 100 million pounds.
And this book was not much older than the movie. The book was
Right, I guess if they had
1961.
written the screenplay first, right,
Yeah.
then it wouldn't have been like the book had been around a long
Yeah,
time.
because I mean, most of the other books were, like, in the mid-50s where
Yeah.
obviously more bigger Cold War stuff and everything, so, Domino was
Did you notice that all her outfits were black and white?
I did. I did this like, the viewing tonight, I realized that. It's like, "Oh, she looks like a domino and everything." It's pretty cool.
It's pretty good, she has good outfits.
Yeah.
I do like how at Largo's house, she gets out of the pool and she goes to change clothes and just puts on another bikini that's black and white,
Right. Now
but she's
she's a good
good.
Bond girl.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was it for the book. So to not make it too bloated, I don't wanna, like, go as deep in terms of, like, going through the rankings of everything. I'll just keep track of them, and then I'll, like, figure out a way to, like, put a little link for our 80 million viewers
Yeah,
listeners
that's a
to
good idea.
so, movie ranking, I'm putting Thunderball at number 3. Even though I gave it 5 stars, I am putting it at number 3. So still above Doctor No, but below Goldfinger. Where would you probably you're probably the same spot,
I
right?
would
At
probably
3?
put it the same spot,
Yeah.
yes. It'll be the same spot.
But you have Goldfinger and then From Russia with Love. So
Yeah.
that's where we differ. All right, Bond girl ranking. I'll tell you number 1 for we have number 1 is Pussy Galore.
Well, the
Um,
name almost,
yeah.
like, requires that you put her at the top.
I would probably put Domino at number 3 because I still like Tatiana Romanova from Russia with Love, but I do think Domino is a better character than Honey Rider.
Yeah, I might put Domino at 2. I mean,
Wow.
she's iconic. I like how much time they spend on her character, right?
Mhm.
He talks to her a lot in those scenes where he's swimming with her in Nassau and various things are, happening, but um I think she is a good character
Mhm.
and she's there definitely against her will. She ends up shooting number 2. I
Yeah.
think that's a great scene.
You make some good points.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna stick with Tatiana
Yeah,
Romanova.
that's totally fine.
And then we got Fearing, the physical therapist at the beginning. I would say just above Sylvia Trench, who was 6th on our old list, so she would be 7th now. So Fearing would go above her, so Fearing would be 7th.
Yeah, I think
She's
that's right.
fine. I mean, she has her little moments. She's a good actress. She's a really good
Yeah, you need
actress.
to give me these lists ahead of time so
I
I know
do.
where to put
I
people.
know.
I mean, this is very difficult on me. This is stressful,
Yeah.
like, but yeah, I think so. I mean, she's good. I feel bad that she gets taken advantage of,
Yeah.
but
She fights back a little bit and she has a little
she
sass.
does.
I
Yeah,
like the
she does.
sass.
I do too.
Villains. So Volpe, who, I decided she should be a villain, not a Bond girl, because A, she never turns,
Right.
and B, she's awesome, and she's not a damsel in distress or anything. She's out to
No, she
kill.
kills a
Yeah,
guy with a missile from a motorcycle.
yeah. So I'm gonna put her. We got Grant, Goldfinger, Odd Job as the top 3. I think just from the fact that she's got so much more presence in the movie, I'm gonna put her at number 3, right behind Goldfinger and above Odd Job. As cool as Odd Job is, he's not in it as much.
Ah, no. Odd Job's better. Yeah, she's not quite above Odd Job. I love Odd Job,
Okay.
but right below him.
Largo, I mean, Largo's pretty cool.
He's very good. I mean,
Um,
he's evil, right? And the eye patch makes him extra evil. And they never explain the eye patch.
right. He's not as, like, badass as Grant, because Grant is just, like, super assassin, doesn't care.
Right, but he's so good of an evil guy, he doesn't have to get his hands dirty.
Yeah,
He does choose to go underwater.
right. And Goldfinger's kind of a wuss at times and a cheat.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
he doesn't do anything.
I think I'd put Largo at number 2.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, Largo, right, he gets more involved than Goldfinger. Goldfinger's like a figurehead who orders people around.
Right.
I mean, he did yeah,
He
yeah.
can't even play fair at cards.
Exactly, right, he has to have people cheat for him.
Right.
Yeah. At least Volpe loses honestly at cards.
Largo, yes.
Largo,
Yeah.
sorry.
Sidekick. So we really only have one. Pinder, that's a pretty small role. I wouldn't call him a sidekick. So I'd say Kaplan.
Yeah.
I really like her. She's not in it much.
No, I'm bummed when she gets killed though. Like she's enough with him that you're kind of like, oh, she took
Yeah.
the cyanide.
Yeah, I did like her. But I think at this point now, I can't put her above Felix Leiter. Felix Leiter's doing
Yeah,
enough
he's
that
good.
so she would be in last
He's still
place.
goofy. He's
Yeah.
the goofy CIA guy.
So yeah, I would say she's number 4
Yeah.
out of 4. Quips. So we have 2 quips in this one. The one she's just dead, which I love and will cackle at till the day I die. And he got the point.
He got the point is good.
I mean, I'm not even gonna hesitate. She's just dead is my favorite by far. I mean, number 1 was I think they were on their way to a funeral, and that's a great line.
It's a good
But I'm
line.
sorry, when he puts her dead body in that chair and says that line, I lose it. So yeah, that's number 1 for me. He got the point. That's a funny one. It's kind of in line with he blew a fuse. So I'd kind of put them at the same spot. He blew a fuse from Goldfinger.
Yeah, but there's no same spot. Like things
Okay.
you have to put things above each other. It has to be a list.
Okay, then I would put he got the point below he blew a fuse.
I would just because of the scene, but
So
I'm not gonna put the she's just dead at the top though. It's good. It's
love it.
good. Right. She's just dead is gonna have to go after he fuse. And he got the point. I know Mike's shaking his head at me right now, but he's wrong. He got the point is right after she's just dead.
Unreal.
I don't know what to tell you.
I didn't think this was gonna be our final episode.
No, this is gonna be this is the controversy we're gonna have. I can't wait till we get to the end.
I mean,
All right, next time print out what we
I
both have on
I,
the
I
list.
love I love dad jokes though. And that's what that is. So that's why I love that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Gadget ranking. Really, I like I said, I'm only
Eh,
doing one. I think the jetpack deserves to be on here because obviously at that time it
Jetpack
was
is cool.
very cool.
Jetpack is cool.
It's no Aston Martin.
But the rest of, I mean, Geiger counter,
Yeah.
not a super cool gadget. Breathing underwater is cool. The underwater jetpack, not really that exciting. I mean, he kind of speeds in there and then it's like, okay, what's the point of this? Um,
I really don't even think that any of those other ones should count. They're tools, but they're so small.
yeah.
Like we did the briefcase for From Russia with Love because that had like 5 things in it.
Yeah. It
And
did.
these are all just kind of separated. So that's why I just think that, jetpack, rocket pack, whatever you want to call it. I put it second. Would you agree though? Number 2.
Oh,
It's better
yeah.
than the briefcase. The
Yeah,
briefcase
it's
is
better than the
cool.
briefcase. Yeah.
So now we got a new one, the theme song ranking. And I think we'll agree on this one because we're still pretty early on this. Thunderball's number 2, and Goldfinger's number 1. I mean, I don't even think that's
Oh,
close.
definitely.
Thunderball's fine. It's
It's
way better than
okay.
From Russia with Love.
Part of it is that Thunderball is a weird term to try to work into a song.
Yes.
And I think that makes it an issue.
Yes.
Goldfinger, she as a movie theme, it's terrific.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Now,
2 more little things. Bond in a boat count 3. This definitely counts. This is number 3.
he's in a raft. He's in several boats, actually.
I
Several boats.
At the end, I mean.
Yeah.
The ending, basically the
Yes.
end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then Slap and Tickle, we're up to 11. That's 11 in 4 movies. So I don't know. I didn't know he had that much jazz.
The thing is, Mike, when your job means that you could die at any moment, like I guess you just decide this is just what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. I mean,
I could die any day.
you only live once. Or do you?
Or do you?
So that's going to be our next movie. We will be discussing You Only Live Once. No, You Only Live Twice. I haven't seen that one in quite a while. But that's it. Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for bringing the beverage. One of the beverages this time. It was unique, and I think that's part of this experience. So we will talk again when we do You Only Live Twice.
Yes. Thank you, listener.
Thank you. Thanks. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bottled and Bond. If you'd like to send us a message, you can do so at bottledandbondpod@gmail.com. Until your next briefing, pour yourself a drink, light a smoke, and find yourself a spirited companion. Goodbye.